Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson. Tom Anderson.
Back to game. Gone. Back, gone. Tom
Anderson.
Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown!
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown!
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hose!
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
first.
Behind the bag! It gets through Buckner! Here comes Knight and the Knicks win it!
Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. A stormy day here from the Hoboken Studios in New Jersey. I think this is like the 70th straight day of rain here in Seattle, New Jersey. My man Steve, who's on the line, he was living in Hoboken, but he just moved out to California, and he sent me a 10-day forecast the other day, and the weather is just absurd out there. Steve, welcome back first to Terrific Talk. How is the weather and LA lifestyle treating you?
Terrific. What's going on? And yes, the weather is terrific out here. I actually saw some clouds for the first time yesterday morning. So my wife and I have been out here for approximately 10 days now. So yesterday morning was the first time I saw a cloud, and by noon the sun had baked them all off. I think it was more just like an ocean cloud. So the sun's out every day. There's no humidity. It's pretty phenomenal. The traffic has a reputation in it, and it is pretty tough. Yesterday I was coming home from work from West Hollywood area, and it took me about an hour to go 20 miles. So that was a lot of fun. But it's a new scenery around here, so I got to see the Hollywood sign and all that good stuff. So
Hour in the car. What are you listening to?
I just had some rap going. I had Shady 45 on Sirius XM going, so they were playing some good jams. I was kind of bouncing back and forth. I had Spain and Fitz was on ESPN radio. I don't know. I know Sarah Spain jumps on for Dan Levitard every now and again, but I'm normally on the East Coast. I was never in the car at that time, so I've never really listened to their show. So I haven't really. Sometimes with those shows, you got to listen for a while, get to know the personalities, the inside jokes, and the backstories. So I just haven't gotten on board with that one yet. But we'll see. We'll see if I can become a convert.
I'm jealous of the weather. So, first off, before we really dive into anything here, we had to start the podcast off with a salute to the great Tiger Woods.
The tap in for Tiger.
How incredible was this weekend for you? Amazing.
Tiger. I mean, I had actually telling you earlier, I've gone to a bar in Santa Monica. Got to give a shout out to that, Britannia Pub. It was like I was back in Delaware, Kennedy, Pennsylvania. Anybody who's an Eagles fan that's ever out in the LA area and you're there in the weekend and it's NFL season, just go to that place. So I was driving back from watching the game and had it on my radio, and I just had chills, man. Tiger Woods, yo. Like, I played Tiger Woods golf for many years in my youth.
Me too.
To see him win it again, to see him get back on top, it was a cool moment. What I found funny, I've read a couple articles since the win, and one of the funniest things, I think that was a result of it, is they had a Ryder Cup meeting, right afterwards, because they got on a plane, I think Sunday night, to head over to Paris.
Right.
And he was about 30 minutes late because he had some media obligations. Obviously, you win the tournament, you're on TV, you're meeting the press, all that stuff. So when he came into the meeting, he's in there with the other 11 guys, and they gave him a cold shoulder. So for 2 minutes, no one turned around, no one said anything, and then after 2 minutes, they got up and went nuts. Kind of similar to a Major League Baseball player's first home run when he enters the clubhouse. They'll kind of ignore him and then they go crazy. So they apparently had coordinated that with his caddy, Joe Kuzma, and Joe's like, yes, do it. So I thought that was pretty cool that they, even though he's a seasoned vet, they got a bunch of young guys, but that 80th tour win, first win since 2013, they had some fun with it.
They had to. It's incredible. 18 months ago, he was talking like he said he could barely get out of bed. He said, am I going to be able to sit, stand, walk, lay down without feeling the pain that I was in? He couldn't get out of bed 18 months ago. He had a 4th back operation, and now we're here. It is an incredible comeback and legendary. The best, the GOAT.
It's, I was looking into this back fusion surgery that he did have, 18 months back. The crazy thing is they effectively fused his sacrum, his hip pocket, his hip bones with the lowest part of his spine. He said in the post-match interview on NBC, I forget who was interviewing him. I don't think it was Bob Costas, but they were maybe Jim. I don't think it was Jim Gray, but they were asking him, what did he think of that final walk-up 18? And his comment was, I was just trying to stay in front of everybody. I'm to the point where I can't run because of the surgery. So it's kind of crazy to think the guy can't run, but he's still able to get out there and do what he did. It really hypes up this Tiger and Phil match that's going to be happening over Thanksgiving, man. Las Vegas. I'm not too far. I may be tempted.
Ooh. I'm a little worried about Phil, and the fact that that's right around Thanksgiving. Phil looks like he's 400 pounds right now. Did you see Phil this weekend?
Well, the only good thing about that is if he's going to has to stay in match form, maybe he's not going to eat a whole turkey himself on Thanksgiving night,
I'm a little worried about Phil. I saw him he was way out of contention, and they showed him. I was like, who is that? Is that John Daly? Phil is looking big.
Phil has been uncharacteristically off this year, in my opinion. I know that he was hot early, but he's running after putts and hitting them before they stopped. That was at the U.S. Open.
I don't think Phil's running either, like Tiger, by the way.
No, I don't think Phil's running either. But yeah, Phil, it'll be interesting. I mean, Phil, when he finds his form and he locks in, I think with 9-0 on the line, he's gonna find his focus. Maybe he's got to get out there and train a la Rocky style. Get him out to Russia, up in the mountains in the snow, get him working. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I think if Tiger has a great Ryder Cup, he typically performs okay. Tiger's not. He hasn't had amazing Ryder Cup performances. I was reading that him and Phil have been partnered twice in the past. Each time, they've got blown out of the water. I don't think they'll be partnered up this weekend. But I think if Tiger kind of keeps his swag, keeps rolling, I don't see him losing on over Thanksgiving weekend.
I'm with you. I'm looking forward to that. If you go to that, let me know. Maybe we'll do a live We'll do a live podcast out there.
Live from press row, Now one thing that is going to be fun now with Tiger getting back on the winning streak, or not winning streak, but on the winning side of things. Next year, Masters, he's going for his, I believe, 5th Masters. He's got the PGA Championship at Bethpage Black right in your backyard. U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. I mean, there's some opportunity right for the taking for him. He's a couple majors shy of Jack. He's 2 tournament wins shy of Sam Snead's all-time record. So, there could be some Tiger buzz. There's going to be a lot of Tiger watch.
There should be. The young guys who have kind of taken over for Tiger, they've been kind of so-so this year. I mean, Jordan Spieth kind of had a tough season. He was kind of the number one guy, in my opinion. Rory hasn't really been able to finish tournaments as much lately. The door has kind of crept back. Oh, Dustin Johnson's there, but he hasn't really been, he's been in contention, but kind of not really in contention. The door is opened back up for Tiger. He's definitely leveled things out with these guys, and he could definitely go on another run, I think.
Yeah, guys like Jason Day, Adam Scott.
Yeah, what happened?
They've kind of faded a little bit. I agree with you that Rory. Look at Rory. He had a great week. I mean, was he feeling the big cat on Sunday? I mean, he had a meltdown.
Yeah.
that's the thing that a lot of these guys came up when Tiger wasn't in his fullest, and I'm not saying he's in his fullest now, but you saw what the height of Tiger Mania is, and it'll be interesting to see how these guys play golf with that type of tension and that type of atmosphere, and all that support that Tiger Woods gets. I mean, the entire time I'm watching the broadcast, anytime he's walking up to a tee box, anytime he's walking up the fairway, and you can hear fans. It's just, "We love you, Tiger! Go, Tiger!" I mean, everybody's in his corner. I agree with you. I think it seems wide open.
Totally. All right, let's switch gears. We got to talk football. That was a crazy weekend. We've got something to address. Our friend Chris Liebner. So last week Leaves. Shout out Leaves. We basically just torched the dumpster fire of Buffalo Bills. They look like the worst team in the NFL. They looked horrible. Just a joke. Like, there was no "Let's Go Buffalo" chance up until last Sunday. So I got to start with it. The most surprising performance of Week 3. It's not even the Bills. It's the team that they beat, the Vikings. It's the biggest NFL upset since 1995. The Vikings were favored by 16.5 points. They go up against a rookie quarterback in Josh Allen, and they just completely choke and get destroyed. Let's go, Buffalo.
Let's go, Buffalo. That's my surprise performance. I went for the Bills side here on this one with Josh Allen because he's a rookie. It's his first road start. He's going into Minnesota at US Bank Stadium. The Vikings had won 10 of their last 11 games at home, including the playoffs. And a rookie rolls in there and goes 15 for 22 for 196 yards and a touchdown, modest.
Yeah.
You know, nothing crazy. But he threw 10 rushes in there for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's hurdling Anthony Barr. He's diving over the pile for a 1-yard touchdown. I mean, he seemed to be doing it all.
Amazing.
And for a rookie, he wasn't scared. That's a vaunted defense, arguably the best defense, top 3 defense in the league, and he was not scared. It's funny, going back to one of my call-out surprise performances of last week, it was also a Buffalo Bill, but it was for the bad side, Vontae Davis.
My boy.
He walked out on his team halfway through.
Love it.
Well, the funny stat, right? So the first 6 quarters of the NFL season, the Buffalo Bills were outscored 75-9. The last 6 quarters, since Vontae Davis walked out, they've outscored opponents 41-9. I mean, I don't know if it's coincidence or what, but something's changed up there in the air for Buffalo.
What if Vontae Davis saw that performance and he came back and was like, "Hey, can I come back on the team?" What happens?
Oh, they just leave him on the side, man. Leave him on the side of the road. No, door's closed. Do you have the password to get in? Nope, it's changed.
It's "Let's Go Buffalo."
It's "Let's Go Buffalo." Yeah, but I mean, to your point, biggest upset win since '95. That's the 6th team to win as an underdog by that much on the point spread in the last 81 games that there's been a point spread greater than 16 points. So, typically the point spread is that because those teams don't win those games.
Yeah.
6 out of 81 is a very small margin, so for them to pull that out, I'm going to pat myself in the back here. I'm going to say that it was a little bit of jinxing on our part. We called them out for being so terrible, and lo and behold, they become great the next week. So I think we should take some credit for that.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills fans, circling the wagons, you're welcome. But yes, surprise performance. I mean, it's got to be that game.
We literally saved their season, Steve.
We did. We're miracle workers. What can we say?
Yep. Honorable mention I got to give to Adrian Peterson of the Redskins. What a performance. We're vintage.
I texted you mid-game.
You did.
During that, didn't I? And I said, Adrian Peterson loves to play against the Packers.
That was incredible. Out of nowhere.
The ageless one.
He is the ageless one. That was a very impressive performance. A week too late for me with the Redskins. I really thought the Redskins were going to beat the Colts week 2. They were a complete no-show. So now I don't know. This is like typical Redskins, though, every season. I just don't know what to make of them, if they're good or not. They do this every year. I guess it doesn't matter who's the quarterback.
Nope, typical Redskins, typical Kirk Cousins. You think he's riding high, and then he does what he did against Buffalo. Typical Redskins. You think, oh, they can't beat the Colts. Aaron Rodgers is coming to town. He's going to blow them out. I believe we both picked the Packers last week. Just giving 3, I'm like, oh, come on, that's easy for Aaron Rodgers. But then the Redskins come out and they're 2-1. I mean, they're tied with my Eagles for the lead in the NFC East. I wouldn't have thought, but that's the NFL. Any given Sunday, as they like to say.
You know, it's not surprising, the dominant performance by the New York Football Giants in Houston. We are back, baby. You know how I was on the fence about Saquon and Sam Darnold? I'm feeling a lot. Yeah. I'm feeling a lot better heading into Week 4.
Saquon. I mean, he is a special back. He just has to stay healthy. He'll stay dynamic. I think having Odell on the outside at least doesn't put all the pressure on him. You get these headline big time running backs coming into the league, and I think one of the main issues is typically those guys are taken in the top 5 because the team is just abysmal. So they're one of the worst teams in the league, and they get the stud running back. Well, I mean, yes, the Giants aren't great, but the Giants do have great offensive weapons.
All right, good. I was worried where you were going there.
Yeah, it's not all on Saquon to get it done.
No.
I mean, Eli has won 2 Super Bowls. Odell is arguably the top receiver, top 2, 3 receiver in the league. Even though Evan Ingram's hurt, he's a young, dynamic player. Sterling Shepard's great up the slot. So, I think it's if that line shores up, the Giants, you never know. They've been 9-7 and gone on to win the Super Bowl before. You can never count them out.
Can't count them out. It's all up to that offensive line. They finally benched Eric Flowers after so long. And J.J. Watt absolutely destroyed them. But still, the line held up. Eli had actually a great game. It was nice to watch a Giant win. It feels like their first win in like 2 years. It was good. Steve, let's get to the power rankings here. Who's your top 5?
Rankings. My top 2 don't change from last week. Still got to stay Rams, number 1. They're plus 66 in the point differential. They're tied for 3rd in most points scored this year. They've only given up 36 points on defense, fewest points given up. Yeah, I'm going to keep my eye on the fact that they have lost a kicker, Greg Zuerlein. As they get into kind of the heart of this season, they've got the Vikings tomorrow, or this week, Thursday Night Football. They go against Seattle. They go into Denver. They've got the Packers coming up, the Saints coming up, Chiefs in a few weeks. I mean, they are going to get to a point where they're going to play some tight games, and if Zuerlein's injury drags on, it could be a deciding factor. Chiefs are staying at number 2 for me. Patrick Mahomes keeps on churning.
Amazing.
Top scoring offense in the league. I mean, Patrick Mahomes now has 13 passing TDs to 0 interceptions.
Is that good?
It's okay. I think I would take those stats if I was a Chiefs fan.
We all are Chiefs fans. We all are Chiefs fans.
Yeah, let's be real. We all love the Big Red. We all love Andy Reid.
Oh yeah, that's your guy. We need a nickname for Patrick Mahomes. We got to come up with one by next week.
By next week,
yeah.
I'm on it.
He needs something.
I heard a couple stats thrown out there that Patrick Mahomes has more touchdowns than Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Carson Wentz combined. Now, Carson Wentz has only played 1 week. However,
stop defending him.
Yeah, I got to give him a little asterisk on that one. Yeah, so Chiefs, they keep rolling on. If their defense stays tight, they're always going to be in it offensively. Number 3, I went a little shocker here. I'm gonna give it to the Baltimore Ravens.
Whoa.
Yeah, they're plus 46 in the point differential, second behind the Rams. They've only allowed 51 total points. 34 of those came against the Bengals when A.J. Green went off for 3 touchdowns in the first half. So, 17 points the other 2 weeks. They have the Steelers this weekend, which will be a big game for them. But then they play the Browns and the Titans to follow. So, they could very well be, if they pull this one off, a a Steelers team that is full of drama at this point. They could in a few weeks be 5-1. So maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I'm going to give them the nod. Number 4, I'm going to go my Eagles. Ugly win, but I said it last week about the Rams. The games that, even if it's not a blowout win, you got to win the games you're expected to win. Carson had a couple miscues. He hurt me in fantasy, fortunately, this week. But, it's a win's a win. That's you play to win the game. Great Herm Edwards. And then number 5, I'm going to stick with the Jags. They had a little hangover loss to the Titans after beating the Patriots, but that defense is so good that, unless they go on a bad losing streak, I think that they have to stay in the conversation. What are you thinking there on the power rankings?
I like those power rankings. I don't really disagree with too much in it. And I think one thing we should remember with your Baltimore pick, I think Baltimore is a really good home team. They've always been solid at home. For picking games going forward, we should remember that. They usually play well at home, and that's when they seem to score 40 points. It's incredible. So
they're 2-0 at home this year. So
yeah, I don't hate them. So my power rankings, top 5, first 2 teams, same as you. I got the Rams and then the Chiefs. You described it perfectly. They're the 2 top teams to me right now. Number 3, I'm sticking with the Jaguars. That was an ugly game. I think they just got so up for that New England game that it was tough to come back from that. That was ugly against Tennessee. Division game, you don't like to see that. But I still really like the defense. Fournette will be coming back soon. I think the Jaguars can get it rolling. I'll keep them in the 3 spot for now. Number 4, I've got the New Orleans Saints moving into my top 5, dude. All last season, I was obviously really impressed with Kamara and the defense, but Breeze was good, but he wasn't typical Drew Brees. This season, they're opening it up. Kamara out of the backfield catching passes is just impossible to stop. Really good win against the Falcons. They impressed me a lot. They're sliding into my top 5. I know the first 2 weeks they looked a little dicey, but they're winning games. I like the Saints. Put them there. And number 5, I got your Eagles. All right, I'll give you some love. Wentz is back. Couldn't expect a ton out of him his first game back. He's obviously jacked up. But, touchdown in the first drive. Very impressive. Like the Eagles still. Still think they're a really good home team. So, yeah, I got the Eagles rounding out my top 5.
Yeah, and the Eagles, I will say some news I just got. Got the ESPN alert. Alshon Jeffrey has been cleared.
Oh, man.
His status will be for this weekend, but that kind of totally changes the dynamic of our offense.
They've missed him a lot.
Yeah, they miss him a lot. Now, I had a feeling that you were going to have the Saints in your top 5, so I did write myself a note. I wrote myself a note down because I had a feeling we were going to be discussing the Saints. I almost pulled the trigger. Almost. I just couldn't do it because they've allowed the most points in the league on defense thus far. They've allowed one. They are a negative point differential by 1 point, and they've scored 103 points, but they've allowed 104. So I just couldn't pull the trigger to put them in the top 5 just because of that.
That's fair.
But I can understand, big time win. Drew Brees, man, talk about an ageless one.
Seriously,
he's running. He's spin move, running.
That spin move was ridiculous. That was crazy.
It's impressive. It's impressive, and just broke the NFL record for most completions, surpassing Brett Favre. So got to give him a nod. He's everyone thought he'd be done after he left San Diego, right?
Yeah.
And look at what he's done down there in New Orleans. Unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Tom Brady playing at 45. Drew Brees is going to be 40, and it looks like
nipping at his heels.
Yep, showing no signs of slowing down. All right, it's time. NFL Week 4 picks against the spread. Let's have a good week. Who do you like here?
I'm going to start it off. With the Seahawks. They're a road favorite. They're given 3, but they're playing Arizona. I know that you went Bears last week, and Arizona kept it tight. It looked like Arizona was going to come away with the upset, but the Bears kind of locked it down there in the second half. I think the Seahawks coming off that convincing win against the Cowgirls in Seattle, I think they start to kind of ride some momentum and get rolling. I'm going to go back to the Patriots, man. I know we got burned by them last week.
Yeah, that was bad.
Going into Detroit, I didn't. That almost was my surprising performance of the week.
Yeah, that made no sense.
But it made no sense. I actually couldn't believe what I was watching. I turned it off halfway through the third quarter and started watching Ozarks with my wife on Netflix. If anyone's been intrigued or thinking about starting to watch Ozarks, watch it.
Yeah, we're big fans of the Ozarks here as well. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Jason Bateman is my hero in life.
Jason Bateman is unreal. I would love to have a beer with that man. So the Pats are at home. They're giving 6.5 points to the undefeated Dolphins. Funny how a 3-0 team doesn't even venture into the top 5 discussion.
Sorry about that, Miami.
I can't trust Ryan Tannehill, man. I just can't do it. So yeah,
They're I think they've won 9 of their last 10 games, by the way, with Tannehill, if you can believe that.
One more time.
I think the Dolphins, I read that they've won 9 of their last 10 games with Tannehill under center.
Wow.
I don't know how that's possible. I think he's underrated at this point.
I would say he doesn't get enough praise then. I didn't know that was the case. I guess, but the problem is he's always hurt. So I mean,
yeah.
The problem is he's always hurt. Those 10 games could have been 3 from 2016.
No, that's what happened. Yep.
3 from now. You know what I mean? But yeah, I can't see the Patriots. I mean, maybe it is all coming undone after all these years, but I think at home they got to win that game by a touchdown. Now for my third pick, I'm going to do it, Tom. I don't know if you're going to like it. I'm sure you're going to love it, but you're going to think I'm crazy.
Oh no.
The Cleveland Browns are plus 2.5 going into Oakland. I'm going to take.
Oh boy.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh boy.
Going into the black hole. It's risky. John Gruden has been quoted as saying, "I would love to find a pass rush on my defense." They don't have a pass rush.
Where are their pass?
Pressure this rookie quarterback.
Their pass rush is in Chicago.
It's in Chicago. They had one, but they let it go. So call me crazy. I'm gonna take a shot with the Browns plus 2.5. See what happens. In Baker, I trust.
I don't hate it. Oakland's looked terrible, and Cleveland's been competitive in every single game, and Baker was a nice shot to their offense. I mean, I never loved Tyrod, and Baker was exciting to watch. Let's see, the team can prepare for him a little bit, but yeah, Oakland's been bad so far. I don't hate it completely. I think it's a fun pick.
All right, who's your 3? What do you got for me?
All right, this was a bit of a tough week. The first game, I want to ask you first of all if you think this line is fishy. Houston at Indy. Colts at home here, going up against the 0-3 Texans. Colts at home are only favored by 1 point. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I saw that and was scratching my head. Because, again, a totally defeated Houston team, 0-3, they have just not been clicking. I know that they have amazing firepower on both offenses, on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, but that line left me scratching my head.
Yeah.
Houston, they're 0-3, and they haven't looked good. Indy stayed tough against the Eagles. Andrew Luck had a shot to win that game. He was inside the 10 and took just an untimely sack there. He seems like he's starting to click. They've got a good running game. Indy's defense is menacing, man. I'll give it to them. They were all over Carson Wentz all day. So that one was a head scratcher.
So just because
touching it, are you going for it or what?
Yeah, I ain't never scared. You know that.
Yeah, maybe.
You said that they were all over Carson Wentz, and I watched Houston up close against the Giants, and Houston's offensive line problems are serious. They are bad. I see no reason why Indy's D at home is not going to get after Deshaun Watson in this game. I'm sticking with the Colts at home. I don't care if the line's fishy. If I had to pick, I like the Colts there. Next game, this one hurts a little bit, dude. I'm high on the Saints. They are in East Rutherford this weekend taking on my New York Giants, and they are favored by 3.5. And I love the Giant win against Houston, but I am not confident in the Giants this weekend. I might regret saying this, and we'll delete all tapes of this, but I am going to be taking the Saints 3.5 points on the road here against the G-Men. Not nervous.
I just was recording on my end too, so I'll have that tape coverage, so that will never go away. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Rod Rosenstein. Always good to get a Rosenstein joke in. All right, and my third pick, I was going back and forth. Maybe you can help me with the tiebreaker here. I was looking at your Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers at home. I believe this is a Sunday night game. Steelers are favored by just 3 at home. So Vegas is giving respect here to the Ravens. I think they love you. Baltimore on the road, though. I know they're a really good home team. Tough game against Cincinnati. They were kind of in and out of that game, so that gave me a little promise to pick the Ravens. But I think the Steelers here, the offense seems to be really clicking. They are super tough primetime at home every single season. I kind of like the Steelers here. There's 3 points. Not really worried about it. Other game, though, Jimmy G. So sad. Jimmy GQ out for the year, torn ACL. Niners now have to go on.
He's having some extracurricular activities in the offseason. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
It could have been. You never know. Now they have to go play a Chargers team with a lot of offensive firepower. San Fran already with Jimmy was sort of struggling a little bit to score points. And if we remember how the Niners were before Jimmy started playing, they were the worst team in the NFL. Chargers here favored by a hefty 10.5 points. We talked about the big lines being scary after what happened with Buffalo last week. Who do you like better, Steelers -3 or Chargers -10.5?
Man, that's a tough one. I think that at this point the Niners are gonna be in ruins, at least this week after all that news. I know the big lines. I tend to stay away, but I would probably lean towards the Chargers. I mean, Steelers Ravens, that's always a slugfest. It's always tight. That's one of those where it could be a 1-point game, and it could be one where the spreads, you're clear. There's a late TD, late field goal that just changes everything. I would be inclined to lean towards the Chargers. One funny thing, I was doing a little research on this with Jimmy G being out. My first initial thought is, and I'm sure you probably had a similar one, well, there's a pretty notable quarterback out there that used to play for the 49ers, took him to a Super Bowl, that's still been looking for a job for a little bit of time. And, he's got some controversy swirling around his head. But, I just was doing a little research as to what the 49er quarterback situation was, and they actually worked out about 9 quarterbacks this week. None of them which were that man Colin Kaepernick. You got Kyle Allen, Kellen Clemens, Landry Jones, E.J. Manuel. Didn't realize he was still in the league or even considered closely in the league.
Sorry, I just threw up after you said all those names. My bad.
Yeah, I threw up. Yeah, Tom Savage. He actually went to my high school. Cardinal O'Hara, shout out. But I don't. Matt Sims, another one.
Yeah.
T.J. Yates, his Houston tenure didn't go well. I don't know. What are your thoughts there? Do you think there's any hope there that there could be a Kaepernick resurgence, or do you think everyone's just at this point staying away?
I would love it. I hope the Niners pull the trigger and do that. I feel like everything that they went through with him, they're probably inclined to just close that chapter, but I think it would be exciting. And, it's obvious that he's better than a lot of these backup quarterbacks in the league. He obviously, his play severely dropped off from when he was tearing it up and going to the Super Bowl. He was really, really struggling, but that was not a good Niners team towards the end of that run he had. I'd like to see him play again, and I think it would be fun if the Niners brought him back. I mean, what do they really have to lose by bringing him back,
Nothing to lose at this point. It is interesting when, reading articles, and he's got his collusion case. I'm not saying, which side is right or wrong, but you're talking about a guy that took a team to a Super Bowl, and then you read a list of quarterbacks that the Niners worked out, and you compare them to him, and leaves you. I know I said this, it leaves you scratching your head a little bit.
Yeah.
One other head scratching thing that I want to pick your brain on is these personal foul, roughing the passer penalties that have just been running rampant.
Awful.
In the NFL these first 3 weeks. Clay Matthews, I mean, this guy's gotten one every single week.
It's hilarious.
And he's pulling his arms back to try to. I mean, what is a defensive player supposed to do?
I think it's just karma because he's been like the dirtiest player in the league for so long. He's taken so many disgusting shots at Eli Manning over the years. I think it's all just catching up to your boy.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I know it's got to be ratings driven. Personally, I mean, there's so much emphasis put on protecting the quarterback. Let's take two big injuries that have happened to quarterbacks in the last 10 or so years. When Tom Brady had his knee just helmeted and he blew out his entire knee, all of a sudden hits below the knee of the quarterback were disallowed. I know Aaron Rodgers had his collarbone broken last year when Anthony Barr just shoved him late to the ground and drove his body weight into Aaron Rodgers. So, that those two high-profile guys missing the season because of hits like that's got to be a reason why the NFL got it under a microscope.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if a defensive player is going for a sack and has to tackle the quarterback, I mean, how can you tell them that you cannot then have your body weight on top of the quarterback?
It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Are they supposed to defy physics and levitate above him after they knock him to the ground?
I mean, that would be nice. But yeah, no, it is stupid. One thing that's been, I'll say, fun as a fan is the scoring is definitely up this season from last season, and it's a little bit more fun to watch. Quarterback play is, I think, definitely stronger so far this year than it was last year, and the ratings are up, and the NFL is not stupid. They realize, kind of like the NBA did when they got rid of hand checking, 15 years ago, when the defense was just taking over and they kind of opened things up. They got rid of the illegal defense. NFL, I think, is trying to do a similar thing to kind of energize the game, get more points on. As a defender, it's like absurd. Like, they're not letting you do anything anymore. As a fan, when I see some of these calls, it's definitely upsetting because if you're a fan of the Packers, you're just getting screwed left and right. So I get it from their point of view. I like making things easier for the offense than the defense. I think it's more fun to watch, but I might be in the minority on that one.
Yeah, and I thought of the hand check rule when I was, thinking about watching these penalties and, we're changing the rules so that blah, 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 blah. But imagine if you're in the NBA and you're a center and you can hand check the center fine, but then you get a switch in a pick and roll and you're on the point guard and you can't hand check the point guard and all of a sudden you're getting fouls called. It's just like, to have such a drastic difference of rules for different players. It's just, again, I know they got to keep the faces healthy. They got to keep them playing. They need the ratings. They need the ad revenue and everything. But there's got to be a difference. There's got to be a better solution.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's a physical sport.
100%. It's taken away from the game a bit, I think. They need to find a happy medium because, it's not. It's like, the is it a catch or is it not a catch rule that we've had to go through for the last 5 years. And everyone's talking how stupid this rule is, and they just leave it in place forever. Hopefully they can figure this out because people are definitely pissed about it.
It's definitely turning some people off. And, a lot of times as fans watching the NFL, you like to know what's going on. I mean, I sit on my couch all the time and I'm like, oh, that was a hold. Oh, that's pass interference. You can't touch the shoulder. You can't, after 7 yards, you touched him. You can't do that. But, with this, as a fan, you can't even, you're kind of on the edge of your seat in suspense, just wondering, okay, what's going to happen now? Which is not a bad thing, but, it just seems to be a little too inconsistent.
It's driving you to watch The Ozark.
The Ozark season 2 was completed very quickly because we just hammered through. We watched, I think, 3 episodes on Sunday night after that game. After I turned that game off.
So good. Shout out Ruth, big fan of the Terrific Talk podcast.
Love it.
All right, dude. Another week in the books. We did it. The rain is pouring here. The thunder is roaring. I wish I could send you some sunshine.
but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Maybe I'll take a picture of it and send it to you now.
Yeah, it says, go out on the golf course now. It's still early there. Send me a pic and enjoy your life.
Hey, LA's always calm. 2 bedrooms here, man.
All right.
Bring the dogs.
Oh, we'll bring the dogs. They love LA. That'll do it here. Exactly. Kobe and Lola, also big fans of the podcast. Kobe, Lola, and Ruth. Thanks for listening to Terrific Talk. Subscribe to Terrific Talk on iTunes. Leave a little review. Say something nice about Steve. He'll really appreciate it. He needs that for his self-confidence. Go follow me on Twitter at TerricTalkTom is the handle. And enjoy the Ryder Cup and NFL Week 4 this weekend. And the baseball playoffs are right around the corner. Great time to be a sports fan. Steve and I will see you again next week. Kobe.
Tiger.